Hey everyone, I'm Maddie,
And I'm Lexie.
and welcome back to Wait You're Mad, the podcast where two friends turned our weekly long distance phone call into a show.
This week, we're joined by Emily Childers to talk about something that's been everywhere lately, manifestation.
We're breaking down what manifestation actually is, why it's everywhere right now, and what it looks like when it finally clicks.
If you're one of Emily's many followers on social media, or if you know her in real life like we do, you already know why we invited her in this conversation. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We'll actually hear her story in her own words as we go because it actually fits really naturally into this topic. Welcome, Emily.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, we were just talking a little bit before this that we're trying to manifest the vibe. It's a Saturday today. It's Saturday at 1, and we're all in this like low key Zen blissed out vibe because it's the weekend. And so we were just talking about how we're already manifesting how we want to project and feel to do this episode.
Just so you guys know, we're not bored, we're Zen. There's a difference. We all got things burning, such as incense. And Maddie, what do you have burning?
Well, we were just discussing how do you pronounce the word Palo Santo, like the incense?
And Google said Santo.
Okay.
And the Midwestern in us says Santo.
Yes. We want to
But
draw
we
that A
decided-
out.
No, Maddie actually said it correctly, organically on one of our last episodes. So good job.
Thanks so much. It
You're so
sounded wrong to
cultured.
me, which is why I brought that up. And also, don't mind my eyeballs. I've had like this eye infection situation, so I look tired, but I feel great.
You look great.
You look Zen as in high as balls.
I know, I kind of
You
do.
look very, very relaxed right now. I'm kind of jealous, actually.
I promise I'm not high.
I mean, I would love it if you were. That'd be great.
Okay, well, let's move on from that.
Let's hone it in. Back to the topic of discussion today.
Yes, manifestation. So I think everybody who has a TikTok, has Instagram, any sort of social media, you hear the word manifestation getting talked about constantly. There's no single right definition, and honestly, that's why it's so hard to explain. But we wanted to do an episode with Emily to do our best to help the word manifestation click for you. So before we go any further, let's each answer this simply in our own perspective. No overthinking. What does manifestation mean to you? Lexie, would you like to go first?
You want me to go first because I'm probably the least experienced one on this episode. So when I speak, it's going to be from the little experience that I have, I guess I should say. I started really seeing it in the last year, probably. So manifestation to me is trusting yourself enough to name what you want and then believing that you're allowed to want it and then showing up differently because of that. So whether you call it like manifestation, mindset, or neuroscience, it's just like alignment between what you want and how you show up, in my opinion.
I love that. I love that.
What do you think?
So for me, manifestation would be like what Lex said, alignment put into action. It's putting out the energy. For me, everything is energy. So it's kind of thinking of what do I want? What energy matches that and aligning into that and finding something that essentially is on that same wavelength and putting it into action. You can't just throw out the good energy and expect good to come your way. You actually have to make a plan then, but it's essentially finding alignment within all of that, in my opinion, at least.
I agree with
How
both
we
of
end
you.
it with in our opinion
Well,
because
because it's
there's
such
so
like
many
a
different kinds of
specific
that.
thing for everyone because I feel like we
Yeah.
could all go into what it means to us and somebody else would be like, well, that's not manifestation to me. So for me, it's energy based and finding that alignment within your energy.
Yes, I
Maddie?
love that. And we'll kind of get into that more too. I think of like, again, I think having our different perspectives will be really interesting. For me, manifestation isn't about material things. It's about how you're operating internally. And I'm going to bring up this book a lot throughout this podcast, Mind Magic by James Doty. Basically, what the idea behind this is your brain is constantly predicting and filtering reality based on what it thinks matters. So when you choose a perspective or an emotional state or a feeling that you want to live from, you're actually retraining your brain. And therefore, that shapes what your brain notices, how you interpret situations, how you respond instead of react. And from a science standpoint, that's your reticular activating system and your subconscious filtering your reality. But like you guys said, from a more spiritual standpoint, maybe the word is alignment there. And therefore, when your internal world shifts, your external life reflects it. And to me, it's not magic. It's not magically, but neurologically. So what works for me to say is manifestation is awareness plus alignment.
It's interesting because even though we're all speaking like very different language right now, I like between emotion, energy, science, we're describing it in a really similar process, I think. Just like getting clear, directing attention, and then showing up differently because of it.
Yeah.
A great example that I heard before is, say you've magically won $10 million and it's getting deposited into your bank account in 10 days. Now, how would you be walking around for those next 10 days? You'd probably, well, I would feel happy, excited, satisfied, secure. And as a result, like you're living on that energy line, and therefore that would produce other things that are on that level. But you don't even have any money yet, but you'd be acting like you did. So I think it's like a vibrational match that if you can match that energy first, hopefully everything can catch up to it.
Yeah, you actually touched on like my life mantra. I say, be it until you see it. I think a lot of people say fake it until you make it. I don't like the word fake because words are real reality to me. Words create my reality. And I feel like with manifestation, paying attention to that is key. And so be it until you see it is how I kind of put what you just said in a summary of anticipating what that would feel like, but feeling it in the here and now. So if you had $10 million in your bank account next week, what would that actually feel like right now? And be it until you see it is essentially my mantra that touches on exactly what you just said, Maddie. So I love that.
I love it.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to dive deeper into your tips and tricks and just like kind of your story, Emily, on even the past year since you've been on our podcast. So can you walk us through kind of the last year and then when this really started to actually click for you?
So I would say that I've always had kind of some form of an awareness of what manifestation is and the idea of it. But for me, it was really the awareness when my dad had passed away of being emotionally aware of where my emotions were at and waking up every day and choosing gratitude in the form of the only way to get myself out of bed that day was to find something good. And I slowly over time really leaned onto that and required that as getting me out of bed through grief and my grief journey, and relying on gratitude allowed me to actually shift my focus on just my energy and my emotions and shining a light on where I needed to do the work. And by doing that, it shined a light on the negative things I was doing to myself and what negative things were reflected back into my life. And so since I saw you guys last on the podcast, it was kind of the beginning of me starting to believe in myself. And I started to realize once I shifted my mindset, finding gratitude, focusing on the good, it was all starting to just reflect back into my life. And also then through signs and synchronicities and connecting with myself, I was able to really see it more because I feel like people don't realize you're manifesting constantly. That front row parking spot, all of that stuff is your energy and what you're, neurologically, what you're focusing on and what you're putting out there. And so I just feel like the last year was me intentionally looking at those instances and seeing where I was emotionally in that. And it started with just gratitude and alignment and trying to find a way to just get back to the core of it and get out of bed, finding gratitude, and see that the more I did that, the more good came into my life. And then it was just a reality of I actually have control of my life in this game that you want to call it. I have a lot more control in this. And it starts with my brain and the way I treat myself and the way I think. And it's just a ripple effect from there. And it's completely changed my life in the past year between gratitude and manifestation. But I can't manifest things without the energy of gratitude and finding joy in the here and now, right here in this moment at any given time. And that's what I try and focus on. And I'm just so grateful to, you guys can tell I get emotional even thinking about it because it has completely changed my life and has proven to me that manifestation is real. It's so real.
I love what you
Yes.
said that we are always manifesting
Always.
already. So even when you were in that different state of mind,
Hmm.
you were manifesting
Yes.
at that point.
Yes. Absolutely.
Was there a specific moment that you're like, holy shit, this works? Or holy shit, I did this for myself? Or,
I think it's hard to pinpoint like the first time because there have been honestly hundreds since then because meditation has become a daily practice for me. And it's become a fun game of when I'm in that meditation to ask for a sign, ask for something to manifest into my life, something as simple, as a colored, water bottle that a client will bring in. And I try to do that stuff. And so I have hundreds of examples, but there are some specific ones that I could get into to share stories. But it's just once I started to pay attention to those little things, instead of worrying about, I used to have a really negative and lack mindset. So I would say the biggest thing that I noticed was assuming a place was going to be busy. When I get there, it's going to be busy. Where I started to pay attention to that stuff and shift my mindset to literally recognize going with the flow and being in alignment is actually how you have that stuff manifest into your life in a positive way versus just, manifesting objects. That's fun to do that as a sign of like, oh, I want this to show up in my life, and it does. But to recognize that you're doing it, like Madi said, constantly. And we can look at every instance. I don't have like one or the first time, but it's just there's so many that I keep a note in my phone now when it happens because they're just fun little reminders that we're in control constantly of our lives. It's just a matter of awareness of what we're doing in any given moment.
yeah, I'm not even blowing this out of proportion. When I go somewhere with Emily, we park, we get out of the car, and we're walking to our destination. Not even shitting you. The next three like license plates are 666. Well, maybe that's not a good one.
No, that's a good one. That's fine. That's fine. That's
The
fine.
devil's no,
Yeah.
actually. Or like 888, and
Mhm.
it's just like all angel numbers everywhere. And I walk my life so like oblivious to any of that. And then
Mhm.
Emily's just being around Emily, it kind of rubs off on you just to be more aware of it because there are signs everywhere. And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily manifestation, but I had to call it out. This chick is actually magic.
But I
and
feel like
can't
that,
explain it.
but I feel like that touches on the signs of like when you see those numbers, though, that is you being in alignment to call in your manifestation. So when I do see those numbers, I know that that is me putting out the energy that I want mirrored back to me. And that's just kind of the little nudges of like, keep doing this because you are manifesting. And yeah, it's obnoxious sometimes. And I put it on my TikToks. I'm kind of embarrassed sometimes because of the frequency of like, hey guys, saw another one, but it's fun. It's exciting. And it reminds me, it's those nudges of if you keep living your life this way, you will actually manifest whatever you want into your existence.
Lexie, do you have an example of when it clicked for you, or are you currently having things kind of click?
Yeah. I feel like for me, it honestly wasn't until like within the last year with all of the uncertainty and change around my job and then growth that came after securing it. And then realizing that what shifted wasn't just the outcome, it was how I showed up, what I believed I was capable of, and what I was willing to say yes to. So, again, I feel like I'm at the very beginning stages. However, I did see how it kind of plays out, and within the last year. What about you, Mad Dog?
So I recently read a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Allen Singer, and I always recommend this book to everyone because it worked for me and it kind of shifted how I understood this in a different way. Basically, the beginning of the book goes into how you are not your thoughts, but you're the one observing them. You are the consciousness behind that. So once I stopped reacting to every thought and focused on keeping my heart open, which essentially I think means just like being aware and being open to opportunities, recognizing signs, patterns. You're not forcing anything at that point. And I'm, again, like a self-proclaimed control freak. So that doesn't work for anyone ever, because when you're in that constant thought loop or that constant yearning for control, you're activating the stress circuits of your brain, which everybody calls fight or flight, essentially. And when we are practicing observation and openness, we're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. I think they call it PNS for short. But that's the part that's responsible for connection, creativity, pattern recognition. And again, both routes tell you that things don't work out because you force them. They work out because you're not in that survival mode, grasping onto like a particular end goal necessarily, or being in that constant control, fight or flight mode, if that makes sense. I don't know if my words put it correctly, but
it does make sense. So basically, it's not about being positive, but it's about like keeping yourself out of that full stress mode to be able to be like open to all of this. And another thing, I feel like I go back and forth on like, there's no magic, right? And so it's like, so like what is logical and what is unlogical. But one thing when I was kind of like doing some research on this that stuck out for me is that emotion is what makes intention really stick. So when something feels real in your body, your brain starts responding differently, which explains why this like click moment happens for people. And the emotion behind it is truly just important. And even though it seems like the fluffier side of things.
well, no, I think that's what it all is based off of, because I mean, your emotions and returning to a particular emotion is literally rewiring your neural pathways, and then your brain is learning like this is the state in which we operate from. So as time goes on, you have less check-ins, less reminders. You just start to organically operate from that, what I like to call like vibration level, is like that gives me that feeling, that reminds me of what that is. So
and I feel like for me personally, that's why I like to start every day with gratitude, because that automatically is like the little bumpers on the bowling alley of like where your brain wants to drift. Gratitude and that kind of frequency is going to keep you in that alignment of the awareness of where you're at, like not the toxic positivity, but awareness of the energy that you're currently feeling.
100%. So yeah, you just have to come up with your practices in order to get yourself to constantly feel that way. I think if people go internally, they know how they want to feel. Is there like an example of a moment, like it doesn't have to be the first moment, but a moment that something like, it's like, oh, this is working. These are signs.
I mean, I can give you a literal, like Lexie and I, when we were thrifting, I could do the ring story of my bird. A lot of times with manifesting, since I'm manifesting so much these days, I feel like it's a constant for me. When I meditate, I like to ask for specific signs just for fun. So it's kind of that idea of society in our world has convinced us that you have to see it to believe it. And so I know that I'm manifesting things 5-10 years down the line, but there's no way for me to really know right now that it's happening. I just have to trust it. And so a lot of times to confirm things for myself, when I go into meditation, I will go ahead and ask for a sign. And so back in October, I had asked for a sign, and I said, give me a turquoise bird. But I said, it can't just be, a color of turquoise bird. It has to be literally the turquoise stone in the shape of a bird. And I was thrifting 5 days later. I have ADHD. I usually don't look into the little like jewelry cabinets or any of that stuff, but my brain was drawn to this little metal boot, but then right below it was this ring, and it was a turquoise bird. And it was 5 days after I asked for that. People could say it's a coincidence, but for me, I'm just like, this is what I asked for. And this showed up in my life then 5 days later. So that's just one of the many, many examples. I like to think of even things of living in alignment when we went and saw PD USA and we walked out of the bar and there he was standing there and we got to go up and meet him. It's just, those are little micro moments of manifestation. But the ring one was something that stopped me in my tracks, because it was 5 days later. I asked for it, forgot about it. And then there it was while I was out of town, and right in front of my face, I had to get it,
I love that example, and I love the PD USA example, because not only was he there, so he was there, he was outside of Woolies, but then we were opening up to the experience to actually go up and talk to him. Yeah. And not everybody has that openness to say, hey, let's go.
Absolutely. Both have to exist.
Yeah. So it's the opportunity, and then you have to meet it. So but you have to recognize those opportunities when they're there. So your heart has to be open. So yeah, I love that.
And I love Your heart has to be open, or you go with slightly tipsy Maddie, who is just not so fearless and willing to do whatever
Anything.
feels because you were the one that totally, I
She's our
think
hype
Emily
girl.
and I both said, thank God for Maddie, because
Yeah.
you were just like, who cares? Let's go.
Yeah. Maddie was instantly just like, let's go. No,
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. Just straight over. Yep.
We're like, oh my God, that's him. And you're like, oh, you want to go say hi? Let's do it.
It also helps that like I didn't know him before, so I didn't go
Yeah.
in with any preconceived ideas of like, he wasn't intimidating. So maybe that helped.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's funny.
Okay, so that's where things kind of started for us. Do we want to talk about where we're at in our manifestation journeys now?
So I feel like there's always I feel like there's always change because our identities are constantly changing. So what we want to manifest will constantly change. So personally, right now, I'm working on just consistency. Kind of like Emily said, you use your daily gratitude and meditation practice to get into alignment every day to start off baseline remarkable. Or however we want to say it. Your baseline is here, to have a high start to your baseline. So I'm focused less on chasing like a particular outcome and more on staying grounded, grateful, and again, open-hearted or emotionally available, however that word clicks for you or that phrase clicks for you, and not getting stuck on one particular goal. We always have to be cognizant of what's no longer working for us and get used to changing how we want to feel. And because what used to work stops working because our values are constantly changing. And our baseline level changes essentially then too.
So I feel like where I'm at right now is I'm seeing it work in real time now, which has shifted how I think about it. But it feels like the next step is to be more intentional about it rather than just realizing it only in hindsight. And I think if I can do that, I'll move forward in the journey like very quickly.
You can consider me in like the flow state. I don't know if that would be what you call it, where it's so natural to me in my life that, like Maddie said, it's really once you can make that shift from holding on to what the outcome is going to be, that is like just jumping over the other side of an entire wall, because you can get there, but then you're still checking on the outcome of, if you're putting something out there, you're reaching for what is that result. And where I'm at now is I'm just putting what I want out there and living my life with the joy and gratitude and abundant mindset, and just knowing that I put it out there, I can just let it go and it'll show up when it's ready. And just like that ring, I meditated, asked for it, forgot about it, and 5 days later, there it was. So kind of just in this flow of allowing things to happen as they unfold and as they need to, and just trying to be in the moment, in the here and the now as much as I can, knowing that that is ultimately what pulls all my manifestations in towards me.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I'm working on. It's like recognizing the difference between manifestation and like the word goal, like goal setting, right? Like we've all hit goals, whether it be like money, a milestone, a job title, and then we get there and we're like, okay, sweet, what's next? Like that was it. Yeah. And so I think instead of asking what do I want, I'm working on asking, I guess, the more powerful question being, how do I want to feel? What kind of nervous system or operating system supports this in moving me forward and letting go of the result? So
I love
I'm aiming
that so
to
much.
Emily.
I love that. I love that so much, because the feeling is the biggest thing for me, at least. So you touching on that, if there's one takeaway for people, I feel like for me personally, finding how you feel and focusing on that is a great way to start and allow you to then get on the side of letting go of the outcome of it all.
Yeah. And like Maddie said, manifestation isn't linear. So you might be calling in one thing and sometimes realizing you don't want it anymore. So I just want to get to the point where I feel like manifestation always takes effort. Like you have to have intention behind it. But Emily, it just seems so ingrained in your life and almost effortless in a sense. And that's like where I would like to get, that I'm not thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think I have to almost overthink it and be intentional before I get to where you're at.
Oh, I agree. Because that was me 2 years ago where I was meditating and asking for these signs and not getting them and being like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then doing it wrong showed me exactly where I needed to shift my intentions, but it just takes time. And a lot of it is just building an inner knowing and an inner trust with yourself that what you're believing and what you're feeling is real, even though you're not seeing it in your actual 3D reality. What you feel is real. And I think it starts with building that inner trust. And that's, Lex, what you've been doing for the past year specifically. So I think you're like really just, you're there already. It's just believing that you're there already.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that you did some things wrong. Maybe we can help set people up, learn from your mistakes here. They can skip a few steps. So let's move into like, okay, but how do we actually do this?
Do you have do you have like one simple step that somebody could start today?
So this is going to be maybe a little corny or cheesy for some people, but finding joy, healing your inner child, like that idea of finding fun and just freedom to be you and the freedom to sing and dance. I feel like people think it's like scripting and journaling and vision boards and all of this stuff. And sure, like that is all great tools to have. But for me personally, if everything comes back to energy, if I have this energy of not enjoying my own company or not loving myself or just really being in a negative headspace, how am I going to call in the good stuff and focus on the good stuff? So for me, just finding joy, having fun, life is short, and finding a way to, when you're cooking your dinner, put on some music and maybe dance a little bit. And that to me is you cultivating an energy within yourself to be like, I actually deserve the things that I want too, because I feel like it's that idea of you can't hate yourself into loving yourself. You can't think you're not deserving of good things while you're asking for good things to come into your life. So a simple thing besides gratitude, because that's something that I will preach and preach and preach for people to dive into, is gratitude. But besides that, just having fun, singing and dancing and pouring into your inner child, I feel like is a way that people don't realize is a fast track into manifesting. It's just a way to find that frequency of just self-love and joy. And like we said, we're manifesting at any given moment. So if you're singing and dancing in any given moment, trying to find that best energy to put out there, that is the easiest way, in my opinion, to start that journey without trying to complicate it with all these big things. Like I said, with everything that, has been recommended to people over the years to do, just finding joy. That's really my biggest thing I want people to try, is just have fun and learn to love yourself.
Finding joy, and that makes so much sense. And it kind of goes back to what Maddie said, that if your nervous system is fried, it's really hard to focus and visualize and take aligned action. So I guess loving yourself first helps in that sense as well. What's one thing people misunderstand about manifestation?
Ultimately, you don't have control over everything in life. You could be manifesting one thing, but something else in your life happens that isn't a bad thing, but it actually is a better thing than what you were trying to manifest. And so I think that is the biggest takeaway I want people to know, is that trying to control the outcome actually is you trying to think that that outcome is meant for you when really it could be something else. And so just being open to not having control and just letting it unfold as it needs to and trusting in that. And I think that's why it goes back to having that inner trust, is so you can truly know that that what is meant for you is truly meant for you.
Lexie, what do you misunderstand about manifestation, or what do you feel like people do misconstrue about it, since you are kind of just getting into this?
I guess I think that there's this idea that you have to do it a certain way, maybe like journal a certain way or visualize a certain way, or you're doing it wrong. And I think that's what I'm realizing, is there's not a specific way to manifest. You don't have to do all that. I mean, it helps align with your emotion, have emotion behind it. Like, there's a reason people do that, but magically writing this 100 times on a piece of paper isn't going to do it for you.
Yeah, it's
So
not a spell or
yeah.
you
So
see those
what
like TikTok videos of like, I manifested my dream car in 10 days and here's how. It's
Well, I
like,
remember like maybe it was in 2020 when manifestation, we were locked down on COVID and people were like giving all their thoughts and people would be like, how to manifest. And it literally was a step. Write it in a journal repeatedly. I'm like, what am I in a detention? Like, no. So I was like not interested in manifesting at all at that time. But I obviously realizing that's not how you go about it. I mean, I get what they were trying to
Yeah.
get at by doing it, but you got to figure out what works for you. And the intention is putting emotion behind it and believing in it. So that might be the only thing I could add.
Well, and I feel like the modality of how you get there can be different for anyone. Like there's vision boards, there's, mind movies, if anyone's ever heard of that, where it's like the visual version of a vision board, but in a movie, and you just watch it over and over again. And same with journaling. It's like those are all ways, but I think if you think of the core of what that is doing for people, it's bringing awareness to how do you feel with that man. If you write something 100 times, you're eventually going to be like, oh, I'm calling in $100,000. Eventually, if you write that enough, you're going to feel excited about that. So I think too, it's just thinking at the core of what those things are doing. It's bringing you into that alignment with how do you feel for that manifestation.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
and some people need like the neuroscience behind it. Some people need more of like a soul language, and some people use both. It just depends on your preferences.
So closing out kind of this section of the episode, what's one thing you'd stop doing if manifestation feels frustrating to someone?
I would just stop in general of just the idea of you're actively trying to manifest. So for example, if you're trying to call in a relationship by, going out there and focusing on how single you are and how desperate you are to find somebody, you're not going to put the energy in your body on the nervous system level of that you are loved and you're safe. Instead, you're going this lack mindset of I need something with outside of myself. And so it's like trying to reach for that outcome of like, oh my gosh, I just need to get into this relationship, when instead you can just flip it, pour love into yourself, focus on taking care of yourself in the ways that you would want somebody else to show up for you. And by doing that, you are aligning yourself with something to eventually come in. And I think that's why when people, they're struggling with fertility and all these things, and then once they let it go of the outcome, just go on a vacation, stop trying to get pregnant for a while. They go on vacation, they get pregnant because they stopped focusing and tightly gripping onto that outcome so much. And so I feel like it's that idea of recognizing what am I looking for outside of myself? And until that shows up in my life, what can I find from within that fills that gap? So if you're looking for a relationship, what can you find within you that fills that gap? And then eventually that will show up into your life, the relationship you're looking for, as an example.
The right
Or maybe even asking
yourself, key.
Maybe even asking yourself, maybe what am I lacking right now that makes me not ready for this to come in yet? And that could also mean I don't love myself enough yet to be ready for someone else to come in and love me.
Yes.
So I love
or
that.
It's the same idea too of like, we all hear of the people who get the jackpot lottery winnings, and they are not in an energy to receive that responsibly. And it's out the door 30 seconds later because energetically it fell into their lap, but they were not ready for it. And that is not a scenario you want. So even like Maddie said, a good relationship, it's all about, okay, how am I treating myself? And then I'll get that mirrored back to me. But it's your intention and your energy behind it ultimately.
I got my hair done by Emily the other night. So what you see is, it is her magic, but she did it on Wednesday and it is now Saturday. So don't too much.
Just know it's a couple days old, okay?
Yeah. But even in conversation, she was like, I'm manifesting, obviously, hundreds and thousands of followers, but energetically, I think I need to start smaller than that. Maybe not 500,000 right off the bat, because I need to work my way up there. I don't think that would be good for me.
Exactly. Because it is that saying, be careful what you wish for. And for me, I know I do not need 500,000 people looking at me overnight. Let's maybe start with 10,000. Let's start there. But yeah, in time.
Which you're getting close to.
We're
you're
close.
Almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were spot on. Like what you said really clicked was when you're overthinking it, you are activating, again, like I said, I keep using this example, like your brain's threat response, which then leads to like doubt and lack mindset.
Yes.
And then you're manifesting that. But you also then can't ignore what you are currently lacking, like we said. So it's a fine line to pay attention to what you need, but then just you can't stay there and focus on it.
Right.
Yeah. And like Emily touched on, as soon as you stop trying, it happens. And that also goes back to what Maddie was talking about again, the nervous system and things like that.
I think people think that manifesting is like, there's two spectrums, right? The people that are like, you have to work really hard in life. I personally don't believe that you have to work hard in life. I feel like there's a balance, and there's a balance of like, you can't just manifest and not do any action to it. So I think a lot of people don't think that there actually is work that has to coincide with the manifestation of it, but there actually is. You can't dream up of a business without actually creating your business plan. So you have to do both, but I think people don't realize that there's a balance to it. It's energy and the neuroscience and all that stuff, but it's also implementing what you're seeing and experiencing into action.
Yes, it's aligning your brain and your body and your soul so that you can make that work easier for you to do the work to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, we are putting you in the spiritual hot seat and asking you the questions we really want to know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Crystals. Do you believe that they are a real tool?
I think they can be. It's all about intention. So if crystals are something that you want to carry around with you and feel like they carry an energy and an effect, I say go for it. I believe in them. I think they can be fun.
Okay. So I have questions because as someone who owns a few, and I genuinely don't know if I'm doing it right. Like, how do you actually use them? Do you carry them? Do you keep them in your space and set intentions with them? Or do you have a few favorites you'd recommend for beginners? They just kind of sit there for me. I don't really do anything with them.
Again, everything is your intentions, and remove the idea of anything that you are doing in this, Lex, is right or wrong. First off, remove that right away. You could carry your crystals with you and be like, I'm doing this wrong, but whatever it means to you is your practice. So that is yours and yours only. So if something means something to you, make that and claim it. Amethyst, I feel like, is a very like generic crystal that a lot of people have heard of. And that is a very like neutral, general one that people could carry with them for just good energy. One thing that I really like though, as a hairstylist and working with the public, is selenite, because it's a very like energy clearing type of crystal. And so I actually keep this right at my makeup vanity here. So when I'm getting ready or ending the day, I can just kind of sit with it for a little bit. But you can also use this to cleanse your other crystals, but it's more of your own exploration and what you want to make out of it. They each have their own meanings and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, if you want to put one in your bra so you can walk around all day and feel protected or guided or whatever it is, I say go for it. Make it what you want.
Next question. Tarot cards or astrology if you had to choose one?
Oh, I really love both. I think right now in my own personal journey, tarot is at the top. I love astrology. I'm a Capricorn and I love figuring out who I am and why I am because of astrology. But right now in my life, tarot is just so fun, and I'm diving into my own intuitive and my own spiritual gifts. So I think it's fun to use tarot as kind of a setting my intentions for the day type of modality. And it's been a lot of fun to just see where my intuition and my knowing takes me. And sometimes I pull a card and I'm just like, I don't know what the F this even means, but we're just going to try and figure it out. And it's just been a fun thing to kind of explore and to play around with.
You guys, Emily has a mean shuffle and she taught me how, and I'm getting kind of good at it. But I was so impressed the last time all three of us hung out. She started shuffling the cards and they're just flying out everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, they're just flying out. And you looked at me and you're like, yeah, that's the fucking point.
I know. I didn't catch on that you were thinking I was doing it on accident. I was like, no, these are your cards, babe. These are the cards flying out for you.
So when you're doing tarot, do you like or prefer to pull cards yourself or to have somebody else do it?
Right now, just because I feel like I'm in this trusting my intuition and my own knowing of it, I am pulling for myself and everyone else. No one is pulling for me. I'm unless I go and pay for like a reading or something. But if I'm getting together with like you guys or anyone, I just feel like I'm naturally like, nope, I'm taking over. I'm going to pull the cards. So me.
Okay, but between you pulling your cards and getting a real like reading, which one do you prefer?
I think right now, can I say both? Because I feel like it's kind of a way for me, since I am learning to trust myself, it's kind of like almost going to an instructor and them being able to be like, hey, this is what I would say with these cards. And I'm able to look at them and at the same time and be like, oh, I would have said that same thing or picked up on that same thing. So I feel like I don't do it often, but maybe like twice a year now, going and getting a reading somewhere. It's just kind of a fun way for me to compare notes, essentially, of my own intuition and what they're picking up on. And so I just think it's fun to go to a professional that like does it all day, every day, because they're actually, just really good at it. Whereas I'm still working on trusting myself with my intuition and actually believing that trust. So right now, both, but of course, it's more fun to have somebody read you and just see what they're going to dream up for you.
Okay, now moving on to full moon rituals. Are you participating in those or not, Emily?
Oh, yeah. You can't hear me howling over at your house every time there's a full moon. No, I
didn't want to talk about. I saw you naked the other day or
just
night.
laid out, charging my crystals.
Yep.
But yes,
one crystal on each booby.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I am the girly that's like telling everyone, hey, there's a full moon, make sure you get out there. And, it's more intentions, just like with any of these things. So I'll go out and, say whatever I need to say to the moon at night. Or I've even made moon water, which is just putting water in a jar for people that don't know and putting it out. And a lot of times I'll write on a note what I'm trying to release during that full moon and leave it out there. And then the next day, water my plants with it or, but again, intentions. People are going to hear that. And if they're not into full moons or that stuff, they're gonna be like, okay, weirdo. But for me, it's fun. It's something that is in alignment with me feeling good and my energy. And if it's really or not, I don't really care. It's fun. And I don't know. It's something that energetically feels like something I should be doing and I feel called to do it. So I'm just like, why not? Let me go out and spend some time underneath a full moon. And I love nature. So why not?
Maddie's face.
That's so important. Well, I think that's so important. And I think, I know I saw Lexie laughing with the full moon because we have talked about how I've made moon water.
Yeah. Well, no, the funny part was she tried. So she made moon water and threw it out in her yard in a mason jar. And then Kurt was like, brought it back in and was like, weird. I found this out there. Someone littered. And Maddie goes, oh, that's my moon water.
And he just tainted it, didn't he?
So I think early on I called her out and said, like, you and your moon water. And she was like, that was one time. Was it really?
It's been a couple times. But again, I think what you said is spot on, where if it feels good and it feels like it aligns, same with tarot cards, same with all of these things. Like if it calls you back into alignment or is a way to check in on yourself and calls you back to being intentional about what you're doing internally, I think that's what these tools are for.
Absolutely. If the full moon makes me go, what do I want to release today? Whereas nothing else is going to make me even think of that. That's a great thing in my mind. So I love that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Again, like not whether it's tarot, the moon, the crystals, anything, even if someone doesn't believe in it, they're always trying to just like make you a better version of yourself. It's never like go shit on someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't understand. There's no harm in any of it. It's always trying to like make you think of like a better way that you can continue to evolve or something you could work on that you're not currently doing well at. So who the fuck cares? Let people believe in what they believe in or do it for whatever reason that resonates with them.
Exactly.
Hey, Emily, we know that you said that you do cleanse your space. Do you cleanse your space or your personal energy more?
My personal energy more, I would say, just because I'm a hairstylist and I could deal with anywhere from 4 to 8 people, even more in my chair for the day, plus my surrounding environment of all the people. And so I just feel like that in itself is a lot of energy transfer for me. And especially I'm an empath. And so I feel like a sponge all day. And a lot of times it weighs on me. And I notice if I don't intentionally cleanse that off of me, it affects my life. And so I try to do my car, my house, my space, even my workspace, but more specifically, my personal self. My energy is my priority always because mainly of what I do for a living, there is a lot of energy transfer when it comes to talking with people and touching them all day. So definitely have to cleanse my energy as priority.
Yeah, you are in a very front lines type of role when it comes to energy.
Yes, I should start charging more actually.
It's like a dual, like,
I'm a bit of a therapist.
energy
Yeah.
reading haircut experience. You could really
Yeah.
charge a lot of money for that.
I can't help it though. That's my problem. I can't just talk about the weather. And so I know naturally I'm just that person. So I just act accordingly with knowing I'm going to have to cleanse all of this heaviness that people pour onto
Mhm.
me, but I ask for it. I'm open for it. I like doing that. So
Yeah.
That's why
Okay,
we
so when
love
you are
you.
cleansing, I know you use crystals.
Mhm.
Do you use sage or Palo Palo Santo?
Santo. Santo.
I would say naturally I reach for Palo Santo more. It kind of depends because I feel like Palo Santo is more like a positive energy, whereas sage is more of like a clearing out. And so for me, energetically, I'm just trying to always stay on the positive side of things. So I feel like Palo Santo is what I just naturally reach for a lot more often. But I've done other things like I don't know if you guys have heard of an egg cleanse before or some of these more weirder quote unquote ones, but
No,
there's
can you tell us about it?
well, I don't want to explain what it actually is. Like you can go online, especially like look on TikTok and online, you'll find videos of people doing it, but essentially it's kind of like a way of like doing a tarot reading for where your energy is at based off of rubbing an egg over your body and then cracking it into a glass of water and then how the egg appears in the water. It kind of tells you a story. So Maddie is probably going to be the one that wouldn't jump on board with maybe believing this stuff.
I will try anything.
But
I
it's
will
one of
try
those things
anything
where
once.
depending on how cloudy it is or how like spindly the yolk is or how heavy it is, like it tells a story. And I'm just into all of that stuff. I think it's fun. I recently found out that my mom's like 12% indigenous. So I'm just leaning into more of just like, what are all these different ways of transferring or cleansing energy? And so I would say Palo Santo is the most common thing that I reach for, or even just an incense. Anything that can signify cleansing of your energy could just be done with any form of smoke, really. But yeah, then you can get far into other stuff. Like the egg cleanse is a fun one if you just want to try something completely different than what most people talk about.
I want to do one the next time all three
Yeah,
of us are together. I
let's do
want
it.
us all to grab an egg
Yeah.
and give it a crack.
And I will
I
say
love
I'm
it.
not an expert on them. It's more of the resources I have found online doing it, but
Yeah.
I think it's fun. Why not, you know?
Have you ever ignored intuition and immediately regretted it? Are you a real person?
Yes. Yes. I don't know if I have like a specific example of it, but there are so many times when I think too before you build up that inner trust with yourself, we do this all of the time without even realizing it. And then I don't think we actually realize it until we build that trust within ourselves of the times we aren't trusting our gut. And so now it is so fast in my reality. When I don't trust my gut, it is instantaneous that it's reflected back to me of like, you got two in your head. You didn't make that decision on just your first initial feeling of whatever the situation is. And it always plays back of the importance of always trusting my gut. But I've learned that I can't get there without actually believing myself and loving myself enough to actually build that trust to lean into trusting my gut. And so, yeah, it's a quick turnaround though. For the times that I don't trust it, I'm very aware of it. Definitely.
Now, moving forward with that, would you make decisions more based on your gut feeling or like a logical pros and cons list?
Yeah, now I'm definitely in gut feeling because I am Capricorn. I'm very type A. I'm very control. I'm very like, this is how things need to be. And I learned through manifestation that you can't be that way. You can't hold on to the outcome. And so for me, trusting my gut has only shown me that that is the way to go. The more I lean into that, trusting my gut, it's just shown me my reality. That's what I need to do.
That makes
Yeah.
so much sense. I have a stellium in Capricorn. I have like 6 planets in Capricorn.
Damn, I'm a Capricorn and then Capricorn sun. So at least that,
Yeah.
yeah,
My
That
big
makes
three
sense,
has
Mad.
none, but my other two, what am I? Sagittarius, Leo, but then everything else is pretty much Capricorn. And so
Yeah.
I feel you on the
hmm
Capricorn piece
And the
of trying to
logic
let go of that.
side always tries to be, I think, too, because we're told you have to see it to believe it. And that is our logic. And manifestation is not that. It is just believing in a feeling, which is your gut.
For sure. What is one airy fairy practice you'd recommend, even to skeptics?
I would say airy fairy practice would be, well, I've already touched on it, finding joy, singing and dancing. You could list off journaling and all these practices, but ultimately finding joy. So singing and dancing, I think for me personally on my healing journey and just my life journey has really shown me that that is a really simple, fun practice to get into. And positive affirmation music is something that when people ask me, like, what started you on this journey, that was something you didn't have to think about or really like put work into. And it was something that I just, when I would get ready in the morning, if I couldn't sing or dance or get into that headspace, I would put on positive affirmation music, and hearing those words over and over again helped me shift my belief system and to then allow me to start believing I can manifest things. And I think starting something small as listening to intentional music or just finding joy in any moment, that would be like my airy fairy way of getting into the practice of manifestation.
Love that. Do you have like a playlist that you could share with us that we can post into this Spotify podcast link?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple. There's one that I really like, and it's got the very specific manifestation songs, but then, a couple of things like Ariana Grande and that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is just touching on words are spells as the easiest way of saying it. So what you listen to constantly is what you are going to believe. And yeah, I can definitely send you guys those playlists. They're
Is
fun.
it just like magic?
Yeah,
Just
that's one
like
of them.
magic.
A lot of Ariana
Yeah.
Grande's, I was going to bring that up. A lot of her
Yeah, they
songs
are.
are manifestations,
Yes.
even like Seven Rings. I
Mhm.
want it, I got it.
Yes,
Mhm.
there are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
she's got some witchy vibes to her, and I love
Successful.
it.
Yeah. Well, and I think once you start listening to things with the intention of whatever you're intaking in your life creates your life. Like now, the past 3 years, I can't listen to, murder mystery podcasts. I can't watch, I used to love like hip hop music. And there's a lot of things that because I believe what I believe now, that I can't participate in that stuff because I know it's pulling me out of alignment for what I want my reality to be. And so that's where it is fun when you find some of these mainstream artists like Ariana Grande. She's singing songs that if you sing along to them, you're actually going to manifest some good things in your life without even realizing it.
Yes. That's why I'm so Ari
AG.
and Kanye.
Hardcore.
Old Kanye was a huge
Yeah.
manifester as well.
Yes. Yes. Good morning. Yep.
What you just said, though, I really felt that because I feel like I've never been so aligned with myself before. And I am finding things I used to really enjoy. I look at it and I say, well, I could, but I know how this would make me feel afterwards. And so I'm just going to skip it. And you're right. A lot of that is like murder mystery things and even just like depressing things that like it might be filmed so well and it's a good show, but where it's going to put you mentally.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, just hearing you say that out loud, I'm like, oh, that's why I haven't been keeping up with this shit.
Yeah. Like I used to love reality TV, like watching The Housewives since high school. I feel like that's in our generation. And I realized like 3 years ago, I was watching it for fun and realizing it was just causing my energy to kind of want to go be bitchy to other women. And it's like, well, no wonder I'm spending an hour every night watching these women just be terrible to each other. And that is not healthy. And I just realized it wasn't something that I enjoyed anymore because I realized that is manifesting my reality. I don't want to be like that. So it does start to really filter out your life. And that is also the scary aspect of it, I think, too, is the saying, be careful what you ask for. It's like alignment.
Yeah. I mean, even with those reality shows, too, they make you think that confrontation is just so warranted and needed in every situation too. Like, she pissed me off, I'm gonna have a chat with her.
Yeah.
Like, no,
It's not the point.
Yeah, it does make you feel like, well, maybe I need to like confront people more when they upset me, which I don't think. I think it's intention behind things too, and whatever. Yep. But yeah, absolutely. So interesting.
Mm-hmm. The awareness of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It changes everything.
Oh yeah,
it's hard being so evolved, you know.
I can't enjoy the shit I used to, damn it.
I'll still enjoy Love Island. That one's still okay.
And again, even on Love Island though, like, and again, you can find the positives in things too, as long as, again, just notice how it affects you. It doesn't affect everybody the same. People on Love Island, for the most part, are in a really high vibrational state because they're living out their probably quote unquote dream for them. And as long as you're choosing to look at people in a positive way instead of like ragging on them or choosing to see the negative, I think it's okay. It just depends. If it puts you in that place personally, then it's not good for you.
Right. True. So true. Okay. What a great note to end on.
Yeah. How does it always come back to Love Island?
It always comes back to Love Island.
It's not even on. Great. Well, we're wrapping it up today. If this episode made manifestation feel less intimidating or at least more human, we're glad. Manifestation does not have to be an aesthetic, perfect, or loud. Sometimes it's just getting clear, staying honest with yourself, and trusting that the small shifts will add up.
Yeah, and Emily, we just want to give a super sincere thank you for joining us today. And not just thank you for what you share on your platforms and the way you help so many people, but also for the way you show up for the people in your real life too, Madi and I included. And we're just always trying to grow and become better versions of ourselves. And it really matters to have someone in our circle who's doing the work. And honestly, we're like seeing it pay off in real time too. So manifestation or not, that kind of self-commitment is so powerful. And we're just really grateful to know that you're happy to be here with us too. It just means a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet, Lexie. Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I appreciate you guys having me on here to even think that I'm worthy enough of talking about this stuff, but I couldn't do any of this stuff without supportive friends in my life. And I feel like it's all reciprocated, and what you put out there is what you get back in life. And I'm just grateful to have this mindset now and to use my platform for good to try and get other people on that same side of life of focusing on the good, and good will come your way.
Where can people find you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram, the letters MLE with the last name Childers. And then on TikTok, it's Emily Childers _.
Thanks again. And if you loved this episode, send it to a friend who's curious. And if you're manifesting something right now, big or small, just know that we are here cheering you on.
Yay. We'll see you next time. And don't forget to tune in for new episodes every Friday, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Wait You're Mad. Until then, mind your business and trust yourself.
Bye.